everybody. Welcome to the new normal. I'm your host, Lisa Davis, aka Like Quinn Lisa, and we have seen it all be dumped on us. 80,000 pages. The JFK files are out, but is it just another look here, don't look there? Well, we've got Skullcap SaVant to bring us all the VSTEG. Right after this, give us a like and share the video. Welcome back, Ben. Great to have you.
Hi. Sorry. Should probably be closer to the mic.
No, you're good. You're good. We can hear you loud and clear. So the JFK files are out. They dumped a huge dump on the FBI.gov website out of the vault. And
yeah, was it 1,200 pages in the initial tranche?
Oh,
something like that.
I heard 80,000 pages.
I know 80,000 is the total tranche, but I think as far as yesterday was concerned, maybe we can verify that. I didn't have a chance to look into some of this today because I've been busy, like I told you, training a new person at work. But
okay, I've been looking at the little pieces that are coming out on social media, and kind of watching those roll out. And I guess the biggest disappointment for me is that they're saying he's actually dead.
Yeah, we're holding out hope.
Sure.
Holding out hope. That would even more than the JFK Jr. stuff. That would have been a surprise, huh?
Of course.
Holy moly. Yeah, well, where's the website? I thought I had it because I had like the whole website there that were the official one.
I think it's like vault.fbi.gov or something like that.
Yeah, we can look it up later, I suppose, or unless we didn't reference these documents, because you probably had a couple of these photocopied ones pulled up.
Yeah,
but yeah, and as I understood it, I think like 80,000 was the total amount that was coming in this final tranche. And then everything would be revealed, and they released maybe 1,200 or so of those yesterday, and they'll continue to do so. Was my understanding. Containing 6,700 and other media.
Narrow your search. No results. I guess you have to be more specific. So I'll get I've got like pages that I'll share with you guys.
Yeah, so the main thing that has come out of the big findings is there are a lot of mentions of unredacted involvement with the state of Israel, which back then didn't have you would think the amount of influence it would have to be able to do something like this, because it was relatively new state. So that in of itself on the timeline spectrum is a little bit curious that the suggestion is so blatant there, you know?
Yeah, and they're saying the Department of State used that for protection and to be able to infiltrate other countries and all this. So, and then they're saying Harvey Lee Oswald was recruited when he was in Japan. I guess he was in the Marines and recruited by the CIA while in the Marines in Japan now. And I thought it was interesting. Another thing that I was reading was that not only so I guess Gitmo exists on an old YMCA location, which is a nod to.
Is it really?
To Trump's, there's pictures of it.
So that's what there's the steganography for him using that song all the time.
That's one thing for him using that song, but also I guess, what was the other thing? There was another thing from it of Harvey Lee Oswald stayed in Dallas at the YMCA before he showed up as the patsy for the shooting. He was in Dallas at the YMCA.
I see. So
documents, and they have like the registration form where he was staying at the YMCA in Dallas as well. So all the comms, they're all there. Like
Yeah,
Trump
makes
puts
you
it
think,
all in your face.
was JFK Jr. in Dallas that day, or was he being taken care of by like a nanny or something?
Oh no, remember he's the little boy at the parade, right? Oh no, that was at the
No,
funeral.
I've seen the footage of the funeral, but was he actually in
I don't
Dallas that
know if
day?
he was in Dallas that day. I'm not sure.
He was very small. I don't think that they probably traveled with him everywhere.
Yeah, I don't
Um,
know because
wouldn't
in
it be funny if he was in daycare at the YMCA? That's he was like, can we go find out if
surely
JFK?
not. Surely he has private babysitters and all that. But
I
the
know. I'm just kidding.
yeah, I did see a picture of LBJ winking at of course, Jackie Kennedy's here with her husband's blood on her dress, and LBJ is winking at, oh God, what was his name? Some other guy as LBJ is being sworn in after the shooting.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, so all coordinated.
Well, yeah, the biggest thing they snuck in with LBJ too was the voting age. They dropped the voting age to 18.
Mm,
It wasn't that way with Kennedy. It was the first election, 64 it would have been, right? The 64 election campaign.
mhm.
And that was that in the camp, and what he ran on the campaign was one of the big things to get the young vote was student loans. Student loans didn't exist before LBJ either.
And that's what backs the dollar now.
All of that revolving money. It's
Mhm.
one of the it's one of the big valves. Yeah, it's one of the very big valves for the money laundering to occur and
That's
keep all that those tenured lips shut, to bribe all those tenured lips to shut the fuck up about this.
that's the enslavement system.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
so there's some sense
And
to
the
uh
irony is now those kids can't afford to buy homes. They're, yeah, the debt note, Tom. Exactly.
I think we found it with also the experiment that it maybe is worthwhile raising the voting age back up because we don't need a bunch of idiot kids voting. It just doesn't. How about you let your prefrontal cortex form before?
Okay, so I have a question about this.
Mhm.
Um, if that is the case, then what do you do? And I'd love to have some military folks weigh in on this.
Yeah.
Then is it right to ask young men to go risk their life at 18 if you're not going to give them the right to vote?
I think if you make the military engagement at an even younger age, yes. So let's just say like we don't send them to war, but we involve them in the warrior class in the same way that somebody's dad takes them fishing
Okay.
to practice the mindset, the early forms of appropriate preparedness at the age level, but to start scaffolding that approach sooner, because I think you just have a bunch of immature idiots by the time you get through the schooling system at 18 because they didn't go through any of this hardening. They went through a bunch of information handed to them that they had to memorize and didn't
Google on
critically
it.
have to
Yeah.
apply to anything. And this isn't the way that I know you're going about the homeschooling. That's the way to do it if
Right.
amongst the options today. But yeah, I think you could get um well, hold on just a second. I've been studying the Orlinda lately too. Their laws and bycodes say something about this very thing, and I think it might answer your question
Okay.
best that way.
Okay. Yeah, because I think that's a really strong, like Tom's saying, you can go to war and die, but you can't go to bar and get a drink. And so, like, I would never ask for somebody to take on a responsibility without having the freedom. I believe that, you take on responsibilities and you gain rewards,
Yeah.
but you also don't have you don't earn the freedoms without taking on responsibilities. So
Mhm.
I would want it to be a two-way street,
Well, remember too, before I read what the Orlinda has to say about this, this is the Cathari. This is their oral traditions, and they are the self-proclaimed free people.
Okay.
They're the
But if
only
we're
free.
building stronger communities by building stronger men, by building stronger children to become stronger men and
That's
women,
right.
that would make sense.
So here we go. So dun, 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 dun. These are kind of some of their incantations. Okay, so here's some of their bylaws that they start writing. Prosperity awaits the free. This is Freya's text. This is what Texas is based off of, this idea of the Orlinda ancestry and the Lone Star State and being a true republic and living free. So some of these things might make sense just from the cowboy perspective. But this is the Cathari. These are the people Cliff reveres so much. And I have a lot of ancestry in my dad's side with these people too. So Fry's text: prosperity awaits the free. At last they shall see me again, though him only can I recognize as free, who is neither a slave to another nor to himself. This is the counsel. 1. When in distress and in mental physical energy avail nothing, when the recourse to the spirit of Ralda is who they consider to be the dignified God, like Theos, like Jesus would talk about the force of,
Okay.
the creative force,
Okay.
the universe. But do not appeal to him before you have tried all other means. For I tell you beforehand, and time will prove us truth, that those who give way to discouragement sink under their burdens. So these are kind of some of these pre-cognitive thoughts. And these start to get into from spirit then into operable order of how you use even transacting laws. So number 2, while the spirit only shall be bent the knee of gratitude for what you have received, for what you intend to receive, and for the hope of aid in your time of need to God, right? So number 3, you have seen how speedily I've come to your assistance. Do you likewise to your neighbor, but wait not for his entreaties, which means like for your neighbor to speak of the help that they need, recognize that they need help first and offer it to them, kind of a thing. The suffering would curse you, the maidens would erase your name from the book, and I would regard you as stranger. You're not supposed to do this, not supposed to take advantage of your neighbor while doing this, right?
Mhm.
4 things are given for your enjoyment. This is number 4 or number 5: air, water, land, and fire. But Ralda is the sole possessor of them. Therefore, my counsel to you: choose upright men who will fairly divide the labor and the fruits, so that no man shall be exempt from the work or from duty of defiance. Okay, so now it starts to intercede. Do you see how it goes from the spiritual, and it starts to, as the rights go down in number and they start to add up, it starts to show the role that man now has to play. Okay,
Mhm.
God is this thing to be respected. God has given us the gifts and the fruits of our life, and all of the elements to go along with it. The trees, the forests, the water itself. We would not have this without Ralda, right?
Mhm.
And so
A wor
man,
no, a world of abundance.
right? But it also says, so the man shall be exempt from work for the duty of defense, and it's only the upright men. So choose upright men who will
Uh,
fairly divide the labor and the fruits. They start saying these things that actually, well, we don't want weak men doing this. And this is kind of the distinction where it starts to intercede in what I'm talking about, right?
mhm.
Do we want mob rule truly? What democracy really is? Cliff was even just talking about this
Yeah.
on his Twitter yesterday.
Mhm.
I'm loving that he's getting into this topic now, because I've had a bug about this topic for some time, about not really aspiring toward a democratic environment because it allows for mob rule to occur. We don't actually choose the upright men as our representatives. We have weak men as our representatives.
Right.
Therefore, the only way we're going to change things is if we have strong voters, the upright voters. And in my eyes, the upright voter might be the mentally sane, the mentally cogent, the mentally can pass a test. Even if we have to pass a test to cognitively be able to render a vote or something, right? That might be a step in the right direction. The problem is we used to have these systems where men of stature that had the right to vote. Like, I think you had to own land.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot the other spectrum of things that could qualify you to vote under like the common law system.
Well, now they're stopping truckers to have them read a statement and speak it and or write it in English, because they need to be able to know that they can read and write, read and obey the signs that are on the road, which apparently people are making a big deal out of it because, you know, the left wants to go crazy and say, oh, racist. But it's
Yeah.
actually always been in the CDL test that you
Mhm.
have to be able to read English. I
Yeah.
found that little nugget out that's
Well, there's
actually
so many
always
Indian drivers, so many H-1B Indian drivers. You know, that's
oh,
one of the
okay.
main professions where the H-1Bs go, is truck driving. It's rampant. If you go across the country and just stop at any truck stop in Missouri or middle of the country, it doesn't matter, Wyoming, you'll always find Indian restaurants at them for that very reason. It's spectacular Indian food, by the way. Most of them are really good because
There
it's
you
like
go.
authentic,
Well,
and they're
they must be able to read English or they wouldn't be able to pass the CDL, because
or
that's one of the
or there's other malfeasance going on in order to pass that, and the continued enforcement of it doesn't exist. So they just get to persist on with their profession, maybe
or they
without
don't
ever
have a
having to prove
legitimate
that they
license, you know.
or without ever legitimately proving they spoke English in the first place, because
Ah,
some
here.
assistance was given to get them to pass the test. I'll look at Corey's in here. Hey, Corey.
So, due to NAFTA exemptions, Mexican truck drivers aren't subject to the same safety rules and rigors that American truck drivers are. American truck drivers are still pissed at this. So that's why they're doing it. This is
There you
the
go.
this is the issues that American truck drivers are held to a different standard, and that's what's taking care of that. So
And
thanks
that
for
makes sense
clearing that
too.
up for us. Yeah, I appreciate that.
So anyway, I think I made my point about this, right? Like the points of the Orlinda rights of their kind of legal system, they're very much like even when we get to the point, I think it says,
Well, it's awesome that you're bringing this up. So I had you and I haven't even had a chance to talk about this yet, but
Mhm.
one of the things at the conference this weekend, all of us, you know, prepared our messages and all this stuff separately, of course. Then we all came together, and what was so funny is Penny Kelly, even stuff Janine was pulling on. Um, um, so many of us were talking about merit. We're talking about
Mhm.
leaving the monetary system and us exchanging peer-to-peer money going away. I mean, there were so
Mhm.
many different like threads, but it was kind of all going the same way. I was talking about President Trump's presidential action that he um, ordered on January 21st, you know, leaving DEI and moving to a merit system. We've got a 90-day window, and Janine pulled cards that like were like the tower of financial whatever changing, and that was going to be in 5 weeks, which lines up with
Hey, there's your Al Gold date that we're talking about too. It's
exactly when
Mhm.
you were talking earlier. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's the same day. When you wanted to talk about the astrology stuff, I was like, I wonder if that lines up with the day that you're talking about, which would be about around April 21st,
Yeah,
22nd.
the date. So for everyone, when Lisa and I were catching up before the stream, I mentioned to her that and maybe people remember this, maybe they don't, but the fixed star Algol, the demon star, the beheader, many other associations that come in thematic form with the mythology in this star, but it was a star that on Trump's assassination day on stage last July 15th, 2024, was conjunct with the planet Uranus. Uranus had just moved into Taurus, and Taurus is a well, I will forward Lisa a write up on Uranus and Taurus so we can reference it after my little spiel here. But the main thing to take away from this is that Uranus conjunct Algol, the beheading star, the ritual beheading of Trump's assassination attempt, correct, right? And this is a major capture point for those that would try to ritualize things in our mimetic environment such that they have more power. They don't have actual merit. They are tricks on the mind, the opposite of what Lisa's talking about. So what happened after that, though, is Uranus went retrograde for a period and actually exited back out of Taurus, and then re-engaged the fixed star of Algo in its retrograde format. I think it was like October 29th, if I'm not mistaken. It took a little while for it to go back direct and come back toward Taurus, which it just re-entered yesterday, the 18th of March, the same day that the JFK files start to release. I did verify, by the way, Lisa. It is. So it's like 1,200 documents yesterday, and another 1,200 today, and it looks like they'll keep dripping. Maybe all the way until the date we're all waiting for. Drum roll, April 26th is when we're going to go back, where we're in a window where Uranus is going to conjunct Algol once again, direct. The same arrangement that Uranus was in that day, last July 15th, when the assassination attempt on stage occurred. So whether it's ritual that we're going to experience that day, or that period of time, that 2-week interval where Uranus is conjuncting, we have the same, like you say, a temporal marker forecast in time from now till then that you're mentioning, Jenny, and all of these people talking about it at the Woo conference, having forecast again, something that's going to occur. And Cliff has been saying so too, in his latest data reports, where he just came back online with some audios the last few days. So what does it mean? What is the Algol demon beheading ritual this time around? We have to wonder. But here, let me give you Uranus in.
Well, and there's all these things going on where, these people are holding rituals around Easter. We're leading up to Easter.
They're just highlighting satanic individuals for some reason. Because this was like an official NBC interview or something, right?
Yeah. But I also want to mention, because we are talking about the JFK files and all that, there is, while everybody else is reading these JFK files and the dump, you guys remember this Michael Aquino guy, the big eyebrow, pointy eyebrow guys? All of this stuff is being revealed as well, and that it was actually like part of a military, it's some sadomasochistic devil worshiping sect being released into all these files are being done.
I guess if Corey's still in the chat, I would wonder if Isaac ever talked about the Temple of Set specifically and Aquino, and these are part of the same network he was naming, because I don't remember him ever specifically naming Aquino. But
and here's the vault.fbi.gov Temple of Set files that are getting dumped as well today.
Okay. So, link, send me that too. I'll dig into this after the show, but I didn't see that.
For you to get this to Corey and have him look at that. I'll text those to you. So because that's what I'm wondering, like, oh, here's your JFK, but we're not going to tell you here's all the MK Ultra satanic Temple of Set stuff with, that's really the stuff we should be, that people should be.
It was always more on the nose with the mind control aspect of it. Not so much the trauma induced mind control, but the Presidio affair, he says.
See, I don't know what that is.
I don't either. I'm going to have to talk to him about this. This is a newer topic that he'll probably know more than I do about it. So how about we all do a show? I don't know. Do you want to go on our Saturday night broadcast at some point, Lisa? We were talking about this ourselves, and maybe this is a topic we can all riff on even at some point in the near future, because
as long as we pray first or something, because this is some dark stuff. I mean, I'm curious if it helps people, but I also really I want to help if it helps children.
Well, exposure is all we can do sometimes, to let the martial arts act as they will from there. But it's up to you what you want to. I didn't talk much about Michael Aquino, although the person who had much to do with the events surrounding his death sure did. Aha.
Yeah, I don't have much information other than just seeing this come out today and knowing that I needed to make sure you guys know. Like, I don't.
Well, if this specific thread becomes more part and parcel to the release, like you're supposing here, like, because I think what I hear you saying is, okay, we have one thing and we also have another, but it's like the thing that's going to get most of the influential attentions, the JFK documents, and this other
Right.
thing might have more actual impact.
Do they? Yeah.
At
Do
the
they
end of the
go
day, right?
together? Yeah.
Well, and is one supposed to cover up the other, or is one supposed to divert attention away from the other? And um, it could be. I'll dig into the documents. I won't make any other suppositions from now, but pull up this this astral forecast I just
Okay.
sent
That
you.
you sent in the
Vedic
private.
astrologer Juliana Swanson is who does this Substack.
Okay.
It's the reason I follow her Substack is because she's the one Vedic astrologer that I know out there that does very diligent blog style articles like every day, and she's really good. But go ahead and read. This is remember the last time Uranus went into Taurus, but these are the themes of Uranus in Taurus, and Uranus in Taurus starting yesterday will now last for the next 6.5, 7 years.
Oh my goodness. Okay. It says it's time to get ready for a major cosmic shift. On June 1st, 2024, Uranus will move into Taurus. With its new transit, we can expect a quantum leap. That's what Penny Kelly is talking about. And radical changes in a direction of the new world. In this article, I'm going to unpack this important astrological event. First, I'll explain the general meaning of the planet Uranus in the sign Taurus. Uranus in the sign of Taurus. Next, I'll use information how to describe Uranus in Taurus could activate a new direction in our lives. After this, I'll discuss what transit means for the world at large. Finally, I'll do a deep dive in the impact of the transit of the United States. I'll look at the position of Uranus in the United States birth chart. This will allow me to use historical data from past Uranus transits to understand what this upcoming planetary shift could mean for the nation. Okay. Let's get started. Uranus makes a complete orbit around the sun a year in Uranian time, about 84, just like Litecoin, Earth years. It spends an average of 7 years in each sign because of its extensive retrograde cycles. Uranus can spend a longer length of time in each sign. In this case, Uranus will spend 8 years off and on in Taurus. Uranus will enter Taurus on June 1st, 2024, will retrograde back into Aries from December 14th, 2024 to March 19th, 2025. In 2031, Uranus will visit Gemini for about 6 months before moving briefly back into Taurus. On April 2032, Uranus will finally leave Taurus for its extended transit in Gemini. Okay. Uranus, a planet of eccentricity, unpredictable change, rebellion, and reformation. In astrology, Uranus rules psychology, psychic power, kundalini life force, spiritual awakening, and energy of all kinds. It represents astrology too. Uranus has a restless, volatile, exciting, eccentric, and rebellious quality. It signifies electricity, electronics, aviation, space, scientific, and technological innovation.
So
And
think about this: all of the airplane accidents of late. Uranus was in the last degrees of Aries. Very, very volatile for the aviation aspect of things. So yes, there are a lot of things that are causing the airplanes to go down in the sky, not just astrology, but the tendency for these things to have occurred the way that they have in the occurrence rate that they have for the last several weeks is lines right up with this conjunction, or not the conjunction, but the transit. Look at what it says: AI, UFOs, digital currencies,
all the things.
Yes.
Okay. Known as the bolt of the blue, out of the blue, Uranus is known to bring sudden and sometimes shocking changes. Also connected to lightning strikes, earthquakes, volcanic activity, as well as explosive accidents and events. Uranus is about the urge for freedom, individualism, and progress. As such, it is emblematic of political and financial and societal revolution. Okay, the role of Taurus in Vedic astrology. Taurus is the fixed earth sign associated with strength, fertility, creativity, material resources, and the primal forces of nature. Taurus is very much at home in the physical world of nature and the senses. As a sign of consistency and diligence, efficiency, Taurus represents a superior work ethic and the desire for practical, useful result. The ruler of Taurus is Venus, the planet of love, harmony, peace, and physical comfort, wealth, and worth. Therefore, this is a sign that seeks to establish truth, meaning, value, and enjoyment in life.
Okay, cool. So let's stop it right there, and just because the rest we can infer for ourselves, honestly.
Okay.
But you notice how I understand this to work, how I've learned. I've mainly learned from Joni Petrie's material. Joni Petrie has a really good school to start to understand this stuff, and I've got some of her books. I've got her Uranus book, her Pluto book, and her Neptune book. I've got 3 of her books on specifically the outer planets, because for whatever reason the outer planets aren't calculated in your natal chart a lot of the times. It's only like from Saturn inward, and so you have to infer the effects on your natal chart from these outer planets by learning more about what we've come to understand in the last, I don't know how many hundreds of years since it's been since these outer planets have been popularized in the readings. But Uranus, with all of its instability and chaotic energy and its rebellious nature in all of these unknown parts of our life, going into maybe the most stable and earth and like grounded and want for security sign in Taurus, is going to be 7 years of those conflicting energies. It's going to be everybody on earth wanting kind of a tendency in their psychotic expression of their daily lives to have stability, to have normalcy, to go back to the way it was. And Uranus is like, nope, I'm just going to press through here and cause all this friction in these ways, such that by the end of the 7 years, it will actually, what Uranus will have provided the lessons for will be our new normal. It will be our new security. It will be our new baseline. We will have to trudge through the 7 years to get there, but what else is new? We've kind of been expecting this. This is kind of what we in the, I don't know, you just call it the woo community, I guess.
Yeah.
Have very much been synced up with our expectations on, I think, right? So this is all happening again, though. Uranus and Taurus, that was Juliana Swanson's synopsis for the last time it happened last June, but the results are the same if we apply it to yesterday's March 18th. Very much the inception point of moving out of Aries into Taurus, and it's going to be a grind of friction-filled energy, I think, especially in these early days when Algol is going to dominate the early degrees themes. So I've always contended that the Algol star has something to do with Ra's al Ghul in the Batman comics by way of the V-Steg. We can do a whole dissertation when we have more time on that. But Ra's al Ghul is a Jewish sorcerer who is ancient in his ageless experiences back into the thousands of years back, ages of history, where he's stayed alive so long because he revives himself by way of what's called the Lazarus Pit. The Lazarus Pit is something in the lore of Batman that allows somebody to revive themselves after death. So, in a manner of speaking, if we had the Ra's al Ghul, there you go, and he's called the Demon Star.
Oh no, we got kicked off of X. Oh wait.
Who got kicked off of X?
He said, I'm spinning here on X, no feed.
Oh.
That's weird, but he could like comment, but not, he can't see anything.
Oh no.
That's weird.
Well, that's a bummer.
Come on, Elon, get your stuff together.
So what ends up happening, by the way, just spoiler alert, Bruce Wayne falls in love with his daughter, and they also have a child. So Ra's al Ghul's Batman's son's grandfather, technically. So there's this whole entrapment with Batman facing his demons through all of this. It's a very deep metaphysical kind of Alice in Wonderland, Wizard of Oz type of tale in and of itself, specifically Batman's relationship with Ra's al Ghul. Mm-hmm. But if Ra's al Ghul and Al Ghul, the star, the demon star, the beheader, represented what they did on stage with Trump last summer, I'm speculating here, but I was telling you, I think maybe we see a revival event in the next transit of Uranus over Al Ghul. Maybe Uranus over Al Ghul this next time on April 26th through May 12th. So that's the next time Al Ghul and Uranus will be conjunct each other, is that window here, 5 weeks from now. Will we have a revival event on stage? Instead of an assassination event, will we have a resurrection event? Right? Will we be brought something forth into our awareness that we thought was dead, that we thought was past, that we thought was done and over with? Right? This is my speculation, actually, of what we might get on the world stage in the ritual aspect of it. We have the WrestleMania thing happening just the week prior, WrestleMania 41. And so, usually they canvas a lot with that too.
Who was it that just had the wrestling belt? Was that? And today Trump is supposed to be talking with Zelensky.
More kayfabe, huh?
Yeah, more kayfabe all around. So will that be part of it? Well,
in WWE, I there was a lot of this in the WWE steganography around Trump's assassination attempt. There's a character called The Undertaker in WWE. They also call him Dead Man, and he revives himself from time to time out of the ashes. There's this little like jar that his caretaker, it's an urn with ashes in it, and he's got like this fat little caretaker that runs around. And he's like, "Oh, I've got the urn," and it's just this whole ridiculous, overblown scenario where, oh shit, dead man's rising from the dead, no, and he the Undertaker has his way with the Bull last year, The Rock. So big themes this year at WrestleMania. If we're following Uranus into Taurus, The Rock is one of the main players. He's the Bull. That's his visage in the World Wrestling Entertainment world. And so he's going to represent the Taurian age is my guess. Now, what will be the change agent? What will be that Uranus? We have we already showed you last time Lisa and I did a broadcast, we did the wrestling thing. Wasn't it?
I think
last time we did one of these things, we went over that Jon Stewart clip. That's right. Yeah. So if you go back and watch that, you'll see John Cena entering the stage. He swapped sides. Oh shit. Uranus was in retrograde. Now it's in direct. Does this have something to do with it? I don't know. I don't watch the wrestling beats closely enough to tell you with any sort of certainty, but you see what I mean? You see how if you watch the outcome of what happens with The Rock specifically in that ritual on stage, we're going to have some clues as to what Uranus is represented in the WrestleMania event. So what do you think? What do you think around the files, the astrology of it, what you experienced at WooCon? You had some key things at WooCon happen that lined up a lot of these dates.
I mean, that's what I was saying. Like for me, it was all about the moving into the merit system, moving out. When Trump signed the paper straw, getting rid of paper straws, to me, that was ending our straw man. And,
okay, that's an interesting way to interpret that.
Yeah, and then he did the presidential action, which started January 21st, and he gave a 90-day grace period to end the DEI, but it would become fully in effect in 90 days, which falls about April 21st, 22nd. Earth Day is the April 22nd, which is in about
Right.
5 weeks. And then Janine pulled the cards and said the tower card was for finance.
Yeah.
Um,
Earth
in
Day, Taurus is the chief earth sign.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
interesting.
that was in about 5 days, weeks, months. But I said, that fell in line with the 5 weeks thing. And so then we're seeing these moves with gold having these huge deliveries. Someone's taking huge deliveries of gold,
Yeah.
which is, they're saying like if they were to revalue gold, gold is on the books at $42 or whatever. If they were to revalue the gold at the current gold prices, it doesn't make the gold holders wealthy, which that could be the biggest rug pull on the elites, because it doesn't change anything for the paper. All the paper holders get rug pulled, because it brings all the delivery in. The paper goes away if people do take delivery. The people that actually hold the gold, you know what? Yeah, you have it at whatever it's valued at, but it's not going to go up more than that. It just gets rid of the debt of the United States, of the deficit.
Mm-hmm.
Like it takes the deficit maybe to $500 billion or something. I don't know, whatever that number is, and so it does a great deal for the deficit, but like gold is already so high. So it's a huge rug pull on the elites, in my opinion.
So
Oh.
if the revaluation specifically happens on gold only is what
Gold
you're also
only,
saying,
yeah.
right?
But then what does it do to silver? Because silver in the reverse
Mhm.
isn't at all-time high. And so does silver then run? Because then those people that are in that situation are looking for that hedge or something. You know what I mean? I could
Yeah.
see then silver going, and people understanding the value of silver. I don't know. I think it could be really interesting. And I don't know if you saw the picture today of Trump with
No, I did. I wanted to save that part for live and pull up the JFK clip you showed me before we went live too,
okay,
from the funeral service.
before we leave this thought, then we'll do the gold silver thing with the Middle Eastern guy. Okay, hold on. Where is that? Oh, I just had it. Where is it? Oh, here it is. Okay, so while we're still on JFK files, this was interesting. And talking about Easter, think
Yeah, so
about the
this is what is it? What is the timestamp? 94 May 23rd, 94. Is that what it says at the bottom?
Yeah, this is May 23rd, 1994. This is JFK Jr.
And he's at the wake of somebody, right?
And now a reading from scripture by John Kennedy.
I believe
Looks
so.
like Clinton's there too. I think you see Bill Clinton that just filed away.
Here with his dirty hair. We noticed
It's a reading from the second letter of St. Paul to the Thessalonians. But I would not have you to be ignorant, brethren, concerning them which are asleep, that ye sorrow not, even as others which have no hope. For if we believe that Jesus died and rose again, even so them also which sleep in Jesus will God bring with him. For this we say unto you by the word of the Lord, that we which are alive and remain unto the coming of the Lord shall not prevent them which are asleep. For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of God.
the trump
And the
of
dead
God.
in Christ shall
Yeah,
rise
pause it
first.
right there. The
Then
trump of
we which are
God.
alive.
So just start it back over at like 1 minute again, so everybody can hear that again.
With the trump of God. He shall return with the trump of God.
For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of God, and the dead in Christ shall rise first. Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds, to meet the Lord in the air, and so shall we ever be with the Lord. Wherefore comfort one another with these words. This is the word of the Lord.
So what we have to do, well, I'll have to pick apart, because that is what the scripture says. It says trump. It says trump of God in the scripture. It's the 17th line. No, it's the 16th line. So it's 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verses 13 through 18 is what he read there. And the line 16, for the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, with the trump of God, and the dead in Christ shall rise first. So what I'd be curious to see is if this matches up, this clip, with any of those Q posts that people did with any timestamps, right? So this is the exact kind of thing that the Q boards did with the JFK, any kind of JFK Jr. material. And is there actual connection to this verse any sort of other way, right? I'll have to look into it. This is the very first time I ever saw this clip when you showed it today. Was the first time you ever saw it too, maybe?
Yeah, it's the first time I ever saw it. Yeah.
So I don't even know how long this has been circulating widely in the internet, if that's it. Because in all of my time on the Chan boards, I thought I'd seen probably everything, but that's a new one.
No, it surprised me.
And do you know whose wake it was?
I don't.
I'll have to find that out too. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
We'll find out if there's some steg to this. But
let's see. It doesn't say. They're asking if it was at his mother's funeral.
Oh, when did Jackie die? Did she die in 94?
There are some Q.
Yeah, it would have been his mom's death, because his 23rd of May is 4 days after his mom died.
Okay. So it was at his mom's.
Yeah. Yep, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So
what do you anticipate in terms of what did you learn from the conference that you think you've got a better forecast about now?
For me, it was like really affirming about us moving, out of this, that the Fed was, ending. I know Thomas Massey. So in my research for my speech, I was looking at, how Thomas Massey had put together a bill. He had put together a bill a few years ago, but it had kind of gotten killed, in all the corruption of politics. But then he had reintroduced it to end the Fed. And then, recently, he wasn't getting support. And then I had seen where like he wasn't supporting some of Trump's stuff. So I was like, what's going on here? But, it's always this good guy, bad guy thing. And, nobody ever looks right all the time. And you know what I mean? It's so hard to see what's going on, the truth, what's going on. And so there is a bill right now to end the Fed and to put all the assets into the Treasury over a 1-year period. And while that's going on, we're seeing, so Utah today passed Mike Maloney did a great video on it. It's pretty short. You guys can go on his goldsilver.com video. I shared it on my YouTube as well, and on Twitter. But they passed their to accept gold and silver as money, and to do it within a digital form. So you can check that out. And of course, I've been talking about for years that there's been many states that have been backing their treasuries with gold and silver to avoid, federal issues during the Great Infection, and they're working on digital backings of those assets. So all of those things are kind of, and that was, of course, in Cliff's data that many states would be doing this quietly over this time.
Or just people forget about it because it was Arizona, my state. They did it 4 years ago. They did all the backing with gold and silver, made it legal tender. And there were quite a few states. It was kind of a blitz for a while, and they were just like little blips on the radar, and then everyone forgot about it.
Well, and then today the XRP, the SEC, they didn't drop the charges. Everybody, they made an agreement to lesser the fine, and
I don't know anything about this. This is new to me too. I didn't catch this news today.
Well, I'm not a fan of XRP, so I don't even like talking about it, but they lessened the fine and made an agreement. So
they lessened the fine on the original creators,
whatever their charges or whatever. So,
the securities, like the securities judgments, the judgment for action,
whatever. Yeah, I don't even like talking about them because they're centralized and they're banksters, and I don't like them. So I don't like talking about it. And they allegedly infringe on Reggie's patents. So hopefully they'll call the man and get a license and do it the right way. But, anyway, moving on.
How long is it? How long did the, how was the singularity talk that Cliff gave? Was it robust, or is he going to expand on that?
It was very intense. It was the first speech. So like everybody's getting
the first one.
Yes, they get there, they check in.
Don't even give anybody a drink first. Just get them into the deep end.
I hope everyone was drinking by that point, but like it was dinner and it's like, there's Uncle Cliff, and everybody's mind just went kink.
Yep.
And like, it's a lot. I mean, I have to watch most of his videos like 5 times.
Oh, do you really? I didn't know that.
I try to watch them at least 3. Just to really like unpack it so that I'm really like absorbing it all. Especially when they're like that. It's because he's taught, but also that's what he was talking about was we're going to make a choice. The ontology and the, singularity, and kind of like, I don't know, kind of felt like I had lunch with my daughter today and she was talking about some people in her life and whatever. And like, it's almost like there's NPC people in life. And that's,
well, I've called them, I've had terminology in my community for this for a long time too. For 6 years or so, we just designated the 2 parallel paths of humanity. And you're going to notice when you're on this track and those people are over there, and you can wave at them, but it's like they're in an encapsulated vacuum tube or something. There's nothing else other than like, hey, acknowledging that they're there. No other senses touch. No other cognition that you can find as common ground occurs, and that paradigm will die. The incorrect parallel path will fade off and go off of a cliff, and the one that has staying power will persist onward, lay more track.
Right. And and it's like the, making rules for typewriter thing. They can keep making rules for typewriters all they want, but at some point, no one's using the typewriters, And so I don't know. It was really interesting. I will let everybody know Bix has a code to get 30% off. It's like $99 right now, but then if you use Bix's code, and if you go to Twitter, I don't know what his code is.
For Pure Sleep, he has a 30% off?
No, not for Pure Sleep. To go watch all of the conference speeches. You can watch.
Oh, right. I forgot. Yeah. Sorry. That wasn't connecting with me. Jean-Claude released the streaming as a purchase bundle,
you can watch
right?
the entire, all the streaming. And And it's like, so it's 99 bucks, but then if you use Bix's code, you get 30% off for all Road to Ruta members. So, which is just go follow Bix on Twitter or something. And it's like, I don't know where the code is, but I retweeted it. I guess
Well, it sounds like the singularity thing is something Cliff is going to rehash and retread this ground on for a little while. This is his next little bloop theory, or his next his next big or his magnetic field stuff. Like he gets on these themes for a few months at a time until people kind of there's enough.
Yeah, so I think he'll be unpacking that. And he's really talking about, so I shared a tweet that he wrote. The end of my speech was, he was talking about honor contracts and how, and that goes with merit to me, and that we are going to be exchanging with these honor contracts, and the tools are all there, you know? And so, and he's been talking about this pirate, in this pirate world, you know, in a pirate world, your word is your bond. And, you know, pirates exist.
That's a lot of what's in the laws and the regulation in the Orlinda too. It's
the Orlinda is the same thing, because you live in a code of, even though you think like pirates are bad dudes, but they also live in a code, in a pirate's code, in a code of honor, believe it or not, because you're known by your name or your reputation. And you're either known that, like, you don't say I'm gonna cut you, bro, unless you're gonna cut them, bro.
Right. One of the bylaws is like for theft.
Yeah.
You steal once, you give back, and you're caught. You're gonna get caught, and you're gonna give back threefold what you stole. That's your first offense. Your second offense is whatever your offender wants to do to you. They can forgive you still if they feel like it, but whatever they want to do to you, enlist that punishment. And the third time is you're exiled for life. Get the fuck out of here. They just, you know, walk the plank, please. And
but that's very much that code of equity.
I love
common law.
It's common law through and through. I know.
And so to me, that living in, when Trump's talking about this, going to a merit system, all of this, to me, that sounds like we are going to common law. Then Elon was tweeting about us going to a judicial coup, or no, it was Bukele said it sounds like the U.S. is facing a judicial coup, and Elon was like, "Wow, 51 million views. I mean, if we're facing a judicial coup."
Well, that report came out on Tucker. At least 70% of all district attorney level judges are corrupt, and likely have money that's being paid for by Soros, is what Tucker's investigation showed.
So is this the beginning of us moving to common law because the courts are corrupt?
And also, you don't need very many judges in common law.
Right.
Because the things that get brought to the court level for judgment aren't very many, because most things in common law get handled at the dispute level.
Right. Because you stand in equity.
They'll say, "Oh, you're still at the personal dispute level, then go handle it." You know, like, stop with this nonsense and leave.
Say, you stand in the other person's shoes and you say, would this be, if it was for me, would this be fair, equal, you know, what I would do for myself? Then yes, you know, you have to agree on it. And
there's also stuff that leaves gray area, like, unfortunately, for people that want everything covered by the courts and they just want them to be the nanny state, common law might be kind of rough, because things like this exist. If you paint your, if you get signed onto a contract by or not a contract, an agreement, because an agreement is all you have in common law, right? So you agree to paint your neighbor's fence for an agreed to period of money that's going to be done in an agreed to period of time. And you meet all those requirements. You paint your neighbor's fence, you do it in the agreed to period of time, your neighbor has to pay you by that agreement, right? Well, what if you paint it the wrong color? Well, if you didn't tell me you wanted to paint it the wrong color, even if you did tell him, I wanted it white and you painted it gray, well, whatever, man. I still painted your fence. Give me the money. In common law, the guy that painted the fence is still owed the money in the honor system of the handshake agreement. He dishonors the person if he doesn't fix the mistake, right? And that has other consequences in the community. But there's no like, I'm going to sue you for the damages.
No, it's a
progression from
reputation.
there. It's a reputation hit that he gets. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like things like that way better. Because again, at the personal dispute level, we should be able to handle our
there's
shit.
transparency and accountability. And that's what we're lacking now, is that there's no, like, things will happen in contracts, but then it's all hidden and there's no accountability.
And misunderstood. Nobody really knows what they agreed to in the first place because they don't understand the bylaws of the contract or the implications of it, or some triggering clause that happens that you didn't know was going to. And it's nonsense.
But that's where, like with cryptocurrency, the contract would never be fulfilled, because if the finite thing, if the defined things were paint the fence in the time, well, yes, the fence was painted in, if the boxes were checked, the fence was painted in the time, but the color was never specified, then, well, the money would never be released, like an escrow, But if the color was in the, that's where the dispute would be. Well, the color was never in the contract, the smart contract. So
the technology layers at our disposal certainly support us being able to design these very workflows for ourselves, and understandings and transaction guideline. They're named guidelines. They're almost just like contracts. They're almost like little sentries, like little WebBot sentries that just make sure that all of the contract language itself keeps it in line. But I like where we're treading toward, being in a merit-based system as is now being discussed, and that's the language people are using to describe it.
Yeah, the other thing for me was that I've been unpacking this whole thing about the post office, was originally the bank, and how Trump bought the Waldorf Astoria back again. And that I feel like he could use that to help people, use that as some form of, not anonymous, but ID without, that we could have in our possession, but using a digital, like helping people understand having a digital ID, and having like a crypto address, post office, also giving up our paper, our straw man address, or our identity that way. Well, we could have our new, not straw man, our real human ID that we hold in our possession through a cryptocurrency that we don't have to.
Well, the interesting thing about all this, though, too, is if we really go and lean into the pirate route entirely, our covenants can act without ID too. Our covenants, other than our signature, like we still have to sign things, probably, like we still have to have some signet.
Well, that's what we would use that address as our signature, to me.
Right. Okay.
That's our signature.
It's not your state sanctioned ID. It's just your identifier tag.
Yes,
it's like your name. You're going to call me Ben, and I know you're Ben because.
So that's my PO box that I have a private key. So you don't know who I am, but I can vote and have a public PO box. So we know that I'm a, that's my public signer, that I can be identified. I can publicly sign things. And then that's where we're able to, so this is my 4D to 5D thing, that we're getting out of the Black Saturn. You know who I'm talking about. I'm not going to say it.
The Rabbinical Council priest class.
Yes. So then Penny Kelly was talking about us leaving the 4D and going into the 5D. And then Jay's talking about the plasma things. And then I Am was talking about using the plasma orbs to jump
Oh, did he have a talk also?
all about plasma and plasma. Yeah, it was amazing. Um, and then, so I was like, oh my gosh, we could still have our identifier, which doesn't change. But when we move from dimension to dimension, our point in space doesn't need to change because our identifier is there. We just change dimensions.
Yeah, now you use this for coordinates and
Yes, for coordinates. Yes.
Mhm.
And then we're just in a different dimension, but we're the same coordinates.
Well, same.
5D.
Dimension's always a weird word for me because I like this materium is the dimension that we are all in, the dimension, right? And outside of this dimension is not this dimension because it doesn't have the same dimensionality. Like if you go to, let's just say, Cliff goes to like hyperspace, with psychedelics.
Yeah.
He has a tough time even explaining the dimensionality of that area.
Well,
that
that's what
float through,
I have a hard time explaining, like unpacking, because there's so many pieces of what I'm trying to put together.
Yeah, exactly.
I
This
feel
is
like it
where
all
we're at.
goes together.
Our common defined lexicon is kind of what I'm just providing commentary on here. It's funny because we're gonna have to figure out the best way if the singularity is going to be a successful crossover for a certain subset, our redefined language and new
And Bix talked
semantics.
about, he talked about all the gold in the Grand Canyon. And then somebody today on X was talking about the stories of Kincaid, who literally found all the gold in the Grand Canyon and all that, which was stories that Bix was talking
Corey brought
about.
up Seth Tanner apropos of nothing on our broadcast on Saturday. So we had it didn't actually come into the discussion from this angle either. It came in from a different angle. Corey's been a guide down here, a tour guide. He's very, very knowledgeable in the whole Southwest, the regionality of the historical context and the framing and the timelines, in addition to local plant life, local flora and fauna, and how certain occult aspects intercede with his investigations on his own. And he's a good guy to get deep into the Grand Canyon aspect with, honestly.
Well, and think about how Trump made the Gulf of America, the Gulf of Mexico into the Gulf of America. And I swear this was in Cliff's data that like in the spring, people were going to be like going into national parks and like mining or panning gold or silver or something like for themselves. Well, if Trump like goes and changes all the national parks and gives it back to the people, and then they say there's all this gold there, and once again that's part of the big rug pull, because remember how Trump puts things out in the public, in the front to show people. Well, think about how he puts gold out in front everywhere. All his buildings are gold.
Oh, I know.
He uses gold all the time in the front. And we all know what was under 9/11 and what they sent to China, what Giuliani did, the big cleanup and how fast they had to get it out of there and what they were doing with all that. So if he's putting the gold out there in front, and if that is the great rug pull and the elites, and then Trump's like, you know what? Yeah, that's going to pay off the deficit. And nope, you elites, yeah, that's that number. It doesn't go up anymore. It doesn't help you.
It can pay off the deficit all at once, but it still won't fix the rehypothecated markets.
No, it won't. And then then he says, you know what? And we're going to open all the national parks, and we're going to let we the people go in, and their families can all have vacations, and they can mine gold, and whatever they find, they can keep at $3,000 an ounce and go build their houses or do whatever because of effort, because of merit.
I think that all the relic gold is gone anyway. so that you're not going to go out into the Grand Canyon, and you're not going to go pull out a big Sphinx head that's as big as your belly, and try and haul it up the mountain.
That's not what Big said.
I think they probably got most of that kind of thing out in the 50s, late 50s, when that we actually talked about this too on the broadcast the other night when the plane crash happened. Bix has talked about that plane crash where it's suspected that it's fine, that the helicopters that were hauling debris out for years afterward very much could have been veiling themselves under the guise of hauling out airplane parts and actually hauling out the really big pieces of gold that were down there.
We talked about the airplane crashes.
Did he?
I've got to run. We've got a set of our kiddos coming over for dinner, but
cool.
I love talking with you about all this. It's so exciting. And thank you all for watching in the chat and giving us great information. You're so wonderful.
Watch out. Start setting your calendars for this April 26th to May 12th timeframe, because that's, again, there's Uranus and Algol.
Yeah. We'll see everybody for an exciting Easter time. So check you guys all later. Make sure you check out the discount on Bix's Twitter feed for the and then you can watch all of those great speeches from the conference. You can even hear what I had to say.
Was it called the Woo Conference or the Beyond Mystic Conference?
Beyond Mystic, a Woo Beginning.
A Woo Beginnings. That's what it was.
A Woo Beginning. All right. Take care, guys.